if I tell her, because in the past when I told her not to do something and she's done it, then it's as if she has no respect for me as a person and she would try to.
Yes, but I think we also need to be, we need to, I would only assume that she wouldn't touch you at all going forward, because if I've been put through an investigation, regardless of the outcome, if I've been put through an investigation about touching somebody, I probably would avoid touching them at all costs, right? That's me. I can't say how she's going to act. But we also can't segregate somebody and treat them differently after investigation just because of what you believe that their intent was. Does that make sense? So if she is touching you on the bottom inappropriately, very easy to assume now, especially after being investigated, that her intent is malicious, because there is no other reason why you would be doing that. But if she walks past you and she goes, hey, good to see you today, you can take that spot there or something like that, given the context of the conversation and what she's probably trying to do in terms of, she's probably not trying to make you feel uncomfortable, she's probably just trying to have some camaraderie, I guess, going forward. That's probably a bit of a different situation. There's nothing stopping you from saying to her, Anna, I really don't feel comfortable with any touching whatsoever, and see what she says, okay? There's nothing stopping you from making it very clear. However, there are, I guess, lines that we need to draw in terms of Anna then saying that she feels a bit bullied and pushed away by you too, right? Because that's not really fair in that regard. Not that she would, I'm not saying that she would, she might not even think of that, but what if she was to come in and say to me, I feel like I can't even speak to Karina now because anything I say to her, she's going to make allegations against me.
It's not because of it's about the touching, because you can pass an instruction to someone and say, oh,
yeah,
please go to this side. Right?
I appreciate that, but if you're comfortable with it with other people, that level of touch, then that's not really fair on her. I would only assume that she wouldn't touch you at all. So I guess let's just wait and see. We're talking a lot of hypothetical scenarios that haven't actually happened yet, right? I would only assume she wouldn't touch you. But I think we have to be careful with segregating her as well. If you're acting very differently towards her than others, that's not really fair on her either. And in terms of, if the roles were reversed, okay, and you did something wrong, and you genuinely, I mean, we don't know her intent. You don't know her intent. Maybe she genuinely wanted to bother you. Maybe she genuinely didn't. And, and it's just that type of person. So I guess we've just got to be careful that we're not segregating her as well and making her feel uncomfortable in the workplace too, because she also has the right to feel safe and comfortable in the workplace. And if she feels as though you're going to put in a complaint about anything she does around you, that's not really fair on her. She's literally going to be walking on eggshells the whole time too. She also has to go back, and you have to go back into a workplace with her, but she also has to go back into a workplace with you now.
I understand that, but there is like personal boundaries. I know that
there are personal boundaries, but they are professional personal boundaries should be the same for everybody.
Yes, but no one else goes around touching each other's private parts.
But we're not talking about that, we're talking about shoulders.
I know, but still, I mean, if after what has happened, she can't possibly think that it would be segregation if we need to tell her not to touch me, because we have to respect other people's boundaries, but if she's going to not respect it, part of like, this is my body, and
okay, but you just said to me previously, can I say to her to keep her distance? Would you say that to other people?
If they were going and breaching my distance or breaching my personal space, I would.
So what do you deem personal space and boundaries with everybody?
Well,
like, would you sit this close to Anna in the tea room?
Yes, I would, but not this close in terms of like.
No, but would you sit that close to anybody in the workplace?
The tea room is pretty small.
Small, okay. So whatever distance you are happy to sit with Anna is what you should be sitting with everybody else.
Okay.
Because that's only fair. So, for example, if Jacky's Anna, right, and you walk in and the only available spot is here, and you walk out because you don't want to sit next to her, but you'll sit next to anybody else, then that's not fair. She's not done anything wrong sitting on the sitting on the table. Does that make sense? I think you probably need to have a think about going forward how you're going to communicate with Anna in a way that doesn't make her feel segregated as well. So if you would say to somebody else, if you would say to somebody else, what was the thing that you said that you wanted to say to her again? The personal space. Like this is like, yeah. If you would say that to other people, then I don't have a problem with you saying it to Anna. But if you're saying that to Anna because she's being investigated, that's not fair. Because she's not doing anything wrong by being in your space like everybody else is.
What I'm saying is, regardless of whether this incident happened or not, if she has tapped my shoulder and it has made me feel uncomfortable, and I say to her, regardless of the situation, forget that it ever happened, that the inappropriate touching, and she touched me on my shoulder quite firmly, and it made me feel uncomfortable because it was quite firm. And I say to her, Anna, please don't touch me, because it hurts. But I would say to anyone who does that to me, then that's not discrimination or segregation, because...
No, because if you were going to say that to anybody, if that was me, and you said that to me, Anna, Jacky, anybody, then that's fine, that's not a problem. I'm just saying you can't treat her differently to how you would treat your other team members going forward.
Yes.
Yeah, so if I touched you, something quite fun, you would say to me, don't do that, Jacky, it hurts.
Yes, yes.
So if Anna touched you the same firmness, you would say the same to her.
Yes,
But if
absolutely.
Anna didn't touch you that firm, it was just a thing like that, you would be okay with it. It's the firmness that you're talking about.
Yes, and also respecting someone's right to choose. Like, if that person makes you feel uncomfortable, then you have a right to speak up about it to that person, to address that issue with them, which I have in the past. And this is what I'm basically saying, is if that she does make me feel uncomfortable, I do have a right to say to her, and I feel uncomfortable with you.
Of course you always have a right to say that you feel uncomfortable, but I think you need to assess whether you are feeling uncomfortable because it's Anna, or whether you're feeling uncomfortable because of the action that's taking place. Does that make sense?
Yes, I would say it would be because of the action, because obviously if you're not that close to someone, or if you don't talk to them as much because of shift or something, then you don't feel as comfortable with them until you get to know them better. And there's also boundaries as well too. You can't just go to someone, go and smack them and say, oh hello there, and like it's only been about a few days before when you enter the workplace, as opposed to someone who you've spent years with or something, working in the same environment, and then you know that they're a person who likes to joke around and things like that. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that if I say to her, if something makes me feel uncomfortable over what she's doing, and I say to her, please don't do that again to me, then she should respect my boundaries. And it's not, and I would say to anyone that does it, not just her.
Yeah, and that's all I'm getting at, is that your boundaries should be the same for Anna as any other co-worker. So if regardless of whether it's Anna, me, Jacky, anybody, if something makes you feel uncomfortable, it makes you feel uncomfortable. But it's not just because it's Anna. Like, you can't treat her differently to how you would treat other people. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Yeah, because that's also not fair on her, on the flip side, you know, and both of you are employees, both of you have the right to feel safe and comfortable at work. And so, you know, if you're constantly sort of fidgeting around her and trying to get out of her way and try and have, like, you know, I think a while ago you said, oh, you know, I just want to have that social distance, a metre and a half, you know, social distancing you were saying to me last week, and it's like, that's not a problem. But if you don't do that with other people, and then you say to her, you need to be 1.5 metres away from me, well, she's probably going to turn around and say, well, why don't you say that to anybody else?
Which I would say that to anybody else as well too, if there was the case with me, 145 metre distance between someone else. But I also am careful of what I do as well too, to make sure that other people don't feel uncomfortable. Like,
but I don't think that you can perform your job adequately with 1.5 metre distance in CSSD. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, but that was when you were trying to keep us, during the investigation, when you're trying to establish what happened, then when you try to keep a distance apart from us, that's when I said, if we're doing that on the same shift, because of the fact that...
So this is before we do opposite shifts, okay.
Yes,
So it's all fine, and I understand that you're going to be a little bit, and that's what I said, like, your relationship going forward is going to be a little bit awkward at first, and you're probably going to be, you know, Anna's probably going to be walking on eggshells a little bit, and you're probably going to be darting around Anna trying not to get anywhere near her, right? But there has to come a time where that falls away for both of you, because otherwise it's going to affect your job. So you need to be able to work cohesively as a team on the shifts that you are allocated the same. You need to feel, both of you need to feel comfortable and safe in the workplace. You need to feel comfortable and safe around each other. And you need that